Hi everybody. This Sunday, April the 2nd, is the first of two races actually going into the family calendar. The first of two holy days, the Ronde van Vlaanderen. 273k, comprising cobbles, Belgian weather and Flemish hills. Notably, the Oude Quaremont-Paterberg combo, which features twice amongst a bunch of other climbs. Looking at the winners of the final 10 editions, not surprisingly, it's all monument men. Half of the last 10 editions were won solo, with Philippe Gilbert's monster solo in 2017 being the most memorable one. I'm putting a link to a 25-second flashback in the top right corner. The remaining editions saw a sprint of 2 to 4 riders. Throughout the race's history, the biggest number of riders finishing in the same time was 16 back in 1949. In the last 20 years, it's never been more than 4. Here's the betting odds at the time of recording, with Wout van Aert, Mathieu van der Poel and Pogačar the clear favourites for obvious reasons. Check out the E3 Classic and Gent-Wevelgem highlights in case you missed out on them. Note that Pogačar indicated after the E3 that the Oude Quaremont suits him best and that he will most likely have to drop Mathieu and Wout to win, yet that it won't be easy. I'm taking note. Here's an overview of some of the riders lining up with previous Ronde van Vlaanderen experience, comprising 5 former winners: Alexander Christophe, Peter Sagan, Kasper Asgreen, Alberto Bettiol and Mathieu van der Poel, who managed to win Flanders last year and in 2020. Then there's some riders with an above average number of top 10 finishes compared to their starts taken. Drawing my particular attention are Dylan van Baarle, Wout van Aert, Tiesj Benoot and Tadej Pogačar. Greg van Avermaet has really done well here in the past, yet his better days are gone, and Anthony Turgis did not manage to confirm in the cobbled events he's been entering this year. So here's the riders to watch in my opinion, with a bunch of teams simply not making the cut, including Intermarché and Soudal Quickstep. At Alpecin de Koning it's all about Mathieu van der Poel, while Kragh Andersen certainly also deserves a mention. He came in 9th on the E3 Classic. Jumbo-Visma is the powerhouse of this Ronde van Vlaanderen. Their main men are Van Aert and Van Baarle. Benoot looked good in Dwars door Vlaanderen and ended up in the top 10 in half of his 8 participations till date. At UAE, it's all about Pogačar. And at the E3 Prijs, the spots behind Van Aert, Van der Poel and Pogačar were filled by Matteo Jorgenson and Ivan Garcia Cortina at Movistar, who also have Lascano, who rode a full day in the break and still managed to become second in Dwars door Vlaanderen. This makes them a team to reckon with for the top 10 positions. Mohoric is once more top 10 material. He was well on his way to a good Gent-Wevelgem result, yet unfortunately crashed out in the final few K. He has been reported to be fine, so I do expect him in the top 10. At Groupama FDJ, we're back to the Kung-Madouas duo, who proved their strength by coming 6th and 8th respectively in the E3 Classic. In Dwars door Vlaanderen they also rode the finale, yet ended up towards the back of the chasing pack, 15 seconds behind the leaders. Also Mats Pedersen at Trek Segafredo ended up in this group, as did Pidcock at Ineos. I would definitely not exclude him. At Israel Premier Tech, we don't really have an idea of Dylan Teuns' form, yet he rode to 6th on last year's edition of the Ronde, and Van Marken rode onto the Gent-Wevelgem podium, behind Van Aert and Laporte, yet ahead of riders like Mats Pedersen. And this in very tough conditions, similar to the ones expected for Sunday. Michael Matthews at Jayco Alula came in P6 here in 2019 and in 11th during last year's edition. Another rider we can't exclude is Nilsen Paulus at EF, 7th in Sanremo and 3rd in Dwars door Vlaanderen, resulting in a long list of 17 riders. And then I didn't even mention Laporte, who just won Dwars door Vlaanderen. That being said, Wout van Aert, Mathieu van der Poel and Pogačar are my 4-star favourites. Van Baarle and Pidcock get 3 stars, Mohoric and Madouas get 2 stars, while Pedersen, Paulus and Garcia Cortina each get 1 star. Here's the odds you're getting for my top 10 picks at the time of recording. In terms of scenario, as most people do, I expect Pogačar to try and drop everybody on the second Quaremont. If he manages, Wout van Aert and Mathieu van der Poel will cooperate behind. If Mathieu van der Poel manages to tail Pogačar and Wout van Aert doesn't, then the entire Jumbo-Visma squad will chase him. In all the scenarios I can think of, Wout van Aert will make it back to the front. So I do expect Wout van Aert to take his first Ronde van Vlaanderen win, followed by Mathieu van der Poel and Pogačar. Thanks for watching and see you after the Ronde for my Paris-Roubaix preview. Till then, enjoy the Ronde.